morning, everyone. How are you?
Good morning.
I just want to take a deep breath in. I'm so happy to see all of you here and all of your beautiful faces and eyes with the masks. Thank you for coming. So, I was driving recently with a friend of mine. We were driving up the freeway. And as we drove, we came through a certain part of town, and my friend was surprised to see these buildings off to the side of the freeway. And he asked, well, when did these pop up? Like, how long has that been there? And I told him that it had been there for years. I said, I used to work up north in LA, and I would drive down here all this time, so they've literally been here for years. And he said, you know, I've never seen any of these. And I said, it's because you were driving. And this time you're in the passenger seat because I'm driving. And it allows you to observe your surroundings in a way you normally wouldn't. And over this past week, as I prepared for this talk, this conversation that I had with him kept coming back to me. And so I thought about it more, and it dawned on me that I have actually been in his position before. Where I'm so focused on getting from point A to point B that I'm too busy to be aware of what's around me. Basically, I was steering the wheel of life and holding it so tough that I didn't notice what was sprouting up around me in the form of people, opportunities, and red flags. Whatever you want to call it. So what changed? How did I go from clutching that wheel of life, the old me, to being an impatient passenger, transitioning me, now to napping in the back seat, current me? In retrospect, I realized that somewhere along the line, I had learned to let go. I learned that things would always be outside of my control, and the only thing I could control was my reaction. Once I controlled my reaction, my emotions would fall in line and stay nice and level, and my perception would stay objective, and my thoughts would be clear, which brought me back to being in control of my reaction. And the cycle would start all over again. So going through the cycle repeatedly allowed me to see that letting go was possible, that letting go was a learned behavior that didn't just magically happen, and most importantly, that letting go was an act of faith. Yep, good old faith. So like many here, I grew up going to church and reading the Bible. And the most common verse that I remember growing up was 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we walk by faith, not by sight. We've all heard this, we all know this. And for as many times as I heard this passage, I never really understood what it meant on a soul level. My brain knew what the words meant, but I don't think I ever could feel what it meant. But the idea of faith is pretty big in the Christian religion, right? In Matthew 17:20 it says, because you have so little faith, truth I tell you, if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. So this idea of faith, walking by faith, mustard seed faith, simply having faith, what does it all really, really mean? And it gets thrown a lot by religious people, but what does it mean? And more importantly, what role did it play in my ability to let go? For me, faith means trust. Trusting that the Creator has it all worked out, my best and my good. trusting that things can and will work out, even when my conscious mind, based on past experiences, doubts it. It means letting go and knowing that no matter what things may look like in this very moment, it's already being worked out for my good in the end. It means surrendering to the fact that even though I can't always know or control my surroundings, like Bob Marley said, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is going to be all right. It means sitting still and listening to that small, small voice inside that whispers wisdom from my soul. So as I thought about it more, and thought about the fact that having faith was really just about letting go, which was really just about trusting the Creator, which simply meant understanding that I have access to the wisdom that lay within, that the Creator endowed me with. So this whole train of thought brought me back to the true meaning of faith. For me, faith stands for fully allowing intuition to handle. Faith. Fully allowing intuition to handle. But why is it so hard for us to have faith? So remember a few minutes ago when I was talking about driving, the part about how I was clutching the wheel, how that represented the old me? Well, let me elaborate on that. So many of you have heard me talk about the fact that our bodies and our organs have the metaphysical and spiritual functions and along with our biological functions. You've all heard me talk about that. So one of the most important organs, if not the most important, is our brain, right? And our brain controls our thought, our memory, touch, motor skills, vision, breathing, and temperature, hunger, every process that regulates our body. The fact that our brain is this wonderful thing, we also forget that its sole job is to protect us, i.e., keep our human bodies alive while we are here on the earth plane. That's it. That's its one job. Despite having such an important role, science has proven that our brains do not have pain receptors. That's why they can perform brain surgery on people and have them awake while they test certain parts of their brain. Now, because our brains do not have the biological capacity to feel physical pain, which also means it lacks the spiritual capacity to process emotions and feelings, they are left to only rely on past experiences to help it decide how to keep you physically and emotionally safe as you move forward on your path. So back to clutching this wheel. This represents the part of us that holds on for dear life to what we know or think we know, based on what we have seen in the past. This is our brain in control and simply trying to keep us alive. This is the part of us that is unwilling to let go and wants to stay focused on the road ahead, trying to prepare for any twists and turns on the journey because we've experienced them before and they were scary. So we have to be ready just in case we encounter them again and do whatever we can, like we did last time, because that kept us alive. Knowing this, how can we really blame our brain? Blame this version of ourselves, the one that wants to grip the wheel of life. We're simply trying to survive. Now, eventually, we get comfortable enough in our lives that we sometimes agree to slide over to the passenger seat. Sometimes. Now, this is a seat that I say we take early in our stages of our spiritual development. It's a seat that we are in and we begin to notice things and start to question things around us. Why haven't I seen that before? Why haven't I noticed that before? Kind of like how my friend did when we were driving. From the passenger seat, I was able to reflect on times when I was clutching the wheel, when I was driving my life. I also realized that I had the radio blaring, i.e. distracting noise, old thought patterns, judgments. I had it so loud that I really wasn't able to see and notice all that was going on around me. In the passenger seat, you're able to relax while someone else is at the wheel. You're less likely also to have the radio blaring because now you have someone to talk to, someone to converse with about the things that you are noticing as you are driving and being driven. So at this point, I'm sure you're wondering, who is the someone that's driving? That someone, I feel, can be your spirit guides, your angels, your higher self. Basically, those connected to divine source and not in physical form. This includes your intuition. It is my belief that your intuition is simply the bubble of God or divine source that lay within each and every one of us. When we tap into this, we are operating on the frequency of unconditional love and the vibration of spiritual truth and clarity. When we allow ourselves to be driven by intuition, i.e. the vibration of your guides, angels, and higher self, we are able to communicate with Source about our life's journey. We are able to learn about things that we see along the way, growing in our understanding of how and why circumstances and lessons appear in our path. Finally, we gain enough wisdom from these passenger seat conversations to allow ourselves to fully relax and recline. So, we might actually move to the back seat. Here, we get lost in our daydreams as we stare out the window, no longer concerned with what appears along the way, no longer distracted with the details of the trip. We're just happy to be traveling on life's journey. I like to joke about, at this point, if my driver comes to a gentle stop and tells me to get out, that I'm being dropped off and they'll be back at 3, I would happily hop out of the car. Now, the old me, however, would have asked, why am I getting out here? What do I need to take with me? Do I need a jacket? Am I going to eat? Who am I going to talk to? Where am I going to go? What if you're running late? What if I'm running late? Are you going to text me? Do I need to text you? What? And where are we going next? That would have been the old me. I was so annoying, that old me. So I know my intuition and spirit guides couldn't wait to get in the driver's seat because I had no trust. I had no faith. I didn't fully allow intuition to handle anything. So this means that I was carrying around all the stress of having to map out the trip of my life, figuring out which way to go when I got lost, deciphering who could and couldn't ride with me, fixing flat tires, disappointments and failures, what I call those. I had to stress about remembering when I needed a tune-up or when my batteries got low, basically when my energy level was drained. Realizing that I could have turned all this over to my guides and source by tapping into my intuition is nothing short of amazing and relieving. Now, just because we have faith doesn't mean we won't ever have fears, won't ever have disappointment, won't ever have heartache. It means that despite all of these human experiences, we will still fully, meaning without reservation, without question, committing to the act of surrendering. Will allow, meaning no turning back, accepting what comes with awareness and gratitude. Our intuition, the bubble of God, divine source, that is innate within all of us and dissolves all illusions that separate us from clarity and truth. To handle it, we'll have faith. So now it's time for the moment of truth. In what phase are you on in your journey? Are you still clutching the wheel? Or are you lounging in the back seat? Now, having accepted the truth of where you are, the power now lies with you. Where do you want to be? Are you ready to let go? Are you ready to fully allow intuition to handle all that comes your way? Well, if you answered yes, then I want you to close your eyes in this moment. I want you to take in a slow, deep breath. And as you do, invite your intuition into your vehicle, i.e. your heart. As you breathe out, feel your seatbelt unclicking and see yourself gently sliding out of the passenger seat and inviting in your driver. Now, whether you've moved into the passenger seat or are now reclining in the back seat, just breathe in and just feel this new space that you've found yourself in. Knowing that you've released the stress of having to map out the journey of your life. Take another deep breath in and seal this new position in with, and so it is. Welcome to your new position. Now, when presented with the choice to continue driving by sight or learning to ride by faith, I urge you to invest in yourself and choose the latter. I pray that each and every one of you can fully embrace being not in the driver's seat, can allow yourself to delight in observing the scenery along the way, can enjoy the freedom of relying on your intuition, and can trust that all things will be handled on your behalf. From this day forward, may you fully allow intuition to handle any mountains that you observe on your journey so that nothing is impossible for you.